I'm Liva Bhaji, and I'm the founder of Holly Reads Collective. I currently work in inclusion, diversity, equity, and action at Lululemon headquarters, and I am very passionate about cultivating sisterhood and community in various spaces. So I have a degree in sociology from the University of British Columbia, and while I was there, I was doing research on what I sociologically conceptualized as the sisterhood wound. So the often default degenerative and emotionally violent patterns of interaction between women, or what's colloquially talked about as mean girl behavior.
A little smoky here.
I think this really began for me in the hallways of my high school, where I was noticing a very ritualized and formulaic way of girls gathering, particularly in circles. And these usually happened around the lockers at lunch. And there was always such a formula to the way that we gathered and the way that we spoke to each other. It usually began with someone voicing a harsh judgment about themselves or someone else. And this was often about something embodied, so a felt experience. And I had just noticed for so long that there was this disconnect between women and between girls. And I was really curious as to why this was taking place and what we could do about it. I think definitely society has misconceptions about who women are innately and the ways that we relate to one another innately. And I mean, when I think about the messages I was given in girlhood of, girls are just catty and this is just mean girl behavior, it's just almost like a biological stage is the way that it was treated for me, especially when I told teachers or adults in my community. And it's not something that we grow out of when that's what we're told we are innately. And so I think it's just so important to challenge that. So Holly Reads Collective is really restorative and regenerative reimagining of those wounding circles in girlhood. So I really wanted to explore if it was even possible to gather in a new way and one that felt regenerative and like it was transcending all the scripts we'd been given, all the rules we'd been given about the ways that we were allowed to be in community. So I started conceptualizing this in spring of 2021, and I took about 6 months to really sit with the idea to design what I would need and what I felt like a space like this really encompassed. And in autumn 2021, we held the first circle, and it was so experimental. And I really was just so curious to see if anyone would resonate with it. And the reception and the energy in the room was so incredibly special and sacred that it spurred on a whole series of circles from that point. And yeah, it's really become like a co-collaboration and a co-creation with all the women who have invested their energy in these spaces in the last 2 years.
Oh, this is one.
This is one.
So I'm trying to create like
Nest feel. So like we need this to feel very like, you know, we're on the ground and we're like in a circle and there's like pillows and blankets. You know, and this will just kind of like delineate the space a little bit. Yeah. I would love more pillows, but I think this is what we got. So about that side. It's just right there. It's just in the open. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. So cute. Where to put this? I think for me, it's so exciting to see that it's possible to transcend the programming that we were given and to see just how abundant and natural and easy it is to be in sisterhood and to be in celebration of one another. And I think that's the thing that I get told a lot after circles is that was so easy. I'm so glad that this is the way that we're doing it rather than the ways that we've been told we had to. And so I think I just love seeing that agency emerge when the space is held and when the container is there. So what I found to be most pivotal within cultivating sisterhood and within this work has been the process of identifying those mythologies that have held us captive for so many years and speaking directly to them. And so one that has become a beautiful ritual that we start and open each circle with is the acknowledgement that every single human who's coming to this ceremony is carrying an ocean within them. And this ocean is surging and it's vast, and all that we're going to come to know of that ocean within any ceremony is simply one drop. And there can be a risk to sharing that drop, knowing that there's that fear, it can be extrapolated into your whole being. And so part of creating safety within sisterhood has been speaking to that drop that each person is bringing with gratitude rather than judgment.
And also, like, she's like a puppy. This is like, she gets so excited. No, they look like they're like stickers. It looks like you
I think one of the first things that I open spaces with is how does it feel for you in your body to sit in this circle of strangers and of sisters? And it's this kind of dichotomy, really a false dichotomy, that in a way we are all united because we share a shared identity and we share a common purpose within these spaces. And at the same time, we may not have met before. And so the levels of intimate connection are different. But I think that's where friendship and sisterhood are different. And sisterhood is really that all-encompassing, overarching, I see the light in you and your light is not dimming mine. And friendship is more of a cultivated process. So I think that's what's so beautiful about these spaces is it's not like a forced, you're going to leave with a bunch of new best friends. It's more just like we're going to be here and witness each other for who we are in these moments.
I appreciate it. I didn't watch that. I know. I know. I go fast. If you mess up, like, it's a really good question. Yeah.
I think a collective like Hollow Reads is important because it pushes the boundaries of what has been predictated for us by the society that we live in, by these smaller societies that we live in, like our cities or towns. I think Vancouver definitely has a culture of disconnection. And I think that in addition to that, being women in a culture that has told us we have a certain capacity for connection and actually a capacity for disconnection as part of who we are innately, which is just so not the truth. A collective like Hollow Reads is the return to unity, and it's an example of what we can do when we come together with a shared purpose and, yeah, celebrate.
I'm like trying to count, but I don't.
What is special to me about these circles is that they weave together science and spirit. So they come with the grounding of research, and they also are so tied to sacred space and tied to prayer and meditation and source. And so I think that's where they have been sustainable, and that's where they get their longevity, is within the weaving together of those two things and those two components. And of course, the devotion and energy and love of all the women who have graced these spaces and really made them what they are. That all of us here are sisters because we are within the system together. We are in the shared identity together, but also some of us are meeting for the first time. And so friendship is that process that's a little bit more cultivated. And so what ended up happening was that nothing anyone ever said fully landed with or was received by the others in these spaces. And it really became a void, right? And it's the equation that like your light is my darkness, essentially, right? So we can't all shine because there's not enough. So the sisterhood movement really disrupts our ability to cultivate sisterhood. So that's kind of why we're all here, right? Is to heal the sisterhood movement through these spaces. That really designed these spaces in the first place. And here we are in Sisterhood Circles. They've been held monthly for a couple of years. So I grew up in a small town, and I think while I was there, disconnection was very much the norm. And when I moved into the city for school when I was 17, I had a couple years, of course, COVID happened as well, but I had like a good couple years of really struggling to find my people and struggling to figure out how I wanted to show up in a new community. And I think Hollow Reads was so centering for me in that process and such a grounding force because it really attracted the kinds of people that I wanted in my lives as sisters and also as friends. So it has been like a huge service and offering for myself as well. And I've grown so much in these spaces through that. I think for me, community means shared purpose and recognition of our unity. And I think it's a celebratory space where everyone is able to be in their fullness and able to show up with all the light that they bring and no fear that their light will overshadow or dim others. And so I think for me, that's where Hollow Reads has been so life-giving, is seeing that this whole your light equals my darkness equation is just really false. And I think it's also important to recognize that this is not I think we never wanted this to be like an exclusive clique of the same people meeting all the time, where it feels like the doors are not open to new folks. And so at each circle, we'll have at least one, if not a good third of participants who have never joined us before. And whether they come back or not, it's so beautiful to see the reach that these spaces have had through, having their doors open more widely. I think it's tricky for me because I have actually found my community in Vancouver, and I feel very connected and very embraced by the people that I've chosen to have in my life here. That may also be because of my small town upbringing and the fact that when I got here, I was just so grateful to have so many more people and so many more opportunities to attract the kinds of people that I want in my life. So I have not personally felt isolated, but I also recently traveled to the East Coast and I found people to be so much warmer and more open upon meeting them. And so I do understand what people mean when they say that Vancouver's isolating, because if you're not kind of plugged into the right spaces, it can be really hard, I think, to find the community that we're seeking.
A lot of people that I met in
Also, I think these spaces show that it really doesn't take that much at all. It takes a space, it takes the container and the permission, but who we are naturally is never that violent version that we've been painted on the media or through societal programming.
Nobody wants us to have a purpose. Thank you very much. I know how to.
I want mine with some talent.
No one wants us to have any micronutrients. It's okay.
I think a collective like Hollow Reads breaks barriers around what we perceive to be normal in Vancouver. I think Hollow Reads in conjunction with so many other community collectives that are doing this kind of work to breach norms around the ways that we're allowed to gather, or the ways that we perceive ourselves to be allowed to gather. I think that's really important, and I think it's beautiful to see people gather in these creative ways that, go outside the box a bit.